Hello and Minglaba, welcome to MI Radio's Myanmar Today. I'm Insein. Restrictions have been eased in some townships, but only Insein Township still remains under stay-at-home plan. Farmers likely to encounter a difficult situation in this monsoon. School children have been affected by the COVID-19 pandemic, but preparations have been made for school reopening. A story coverage on new surge in COVID-19 cases worries Beijing. All these reports coming up later on Myanmar Today, but for now, let's take a look at what's happening in local news. State Councillor Aung San Suu Kyi wrote on her Facebook page on Monday that the first COVID wave has been successfully overcome. The second wave would be more difficult. She said, no matter what, quote, we should hope for the best and prepare for the worst. And this is what she wrote. Quote, all countries have to try to confront and solve whatever happens by thinking about what could happen in the future. It is the perennial duty of a government to make sure that they have enough food stockpiles and financial resources to overcome an emergency like COVID, which is difficult to predict in advance. The Venerable Sri Taungong Sayadaw has given us this advice, which should be taken to heart and forever fixed in our minds. There are 4 types of virya, in other words, determined effort. The first is to make a decision to start an initiative. The second is to start implementing according to the decision. The third is to keep on implementing although difficulties are encountered. The fourth is to keep on implementing with unflagging zeal, even if the endeavor seems to be failing. She continued saying, quote, we are now at the stage when we are transitioning from the second stage to the third stage of virya. Let us all try to leave good virya heritages for future generations. With a view to the further strengthening of measures to contain the spread of the COVID-19 pandemic, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of the Union of Myanmar has issued a series of announcements regarding temporary entry restrictions for visitors from all countries. All those restrictions were extended until 15th of June 2020 by the ministry's announcement dated 1st of June. In order to continue its effective response measures to protect the population of the country from the risks of importation and spread of the COVID-19, the government of the Republic of the Union of Myanmar has decided to extend the entry restriction measures until 30th of June. In case of urgent official missions or compelling reasons, foreign nationals, including diplomats and United Nations officials who wish to travel to Myanmar by available relief or special flights, may contact the nearest Myanmar mission for a possible exception with regard to certain visa restrictions. However, all visitors must abide by existing directives issued by the Ministry of Health and Sports relating to the prevention and control of the COVID-19 pandemic. Union Minister for Education, Dr. Myo Thaingji, held a video conference with EU Ambassador Mr. Christian Schmidt and delegation on the works for the education sector Monday morning. The Union Minister talked on COVID-19 response and rehabilitation plan for Myanmar education sector, which was adopted in May, resuming high school classes on 21st of July and step-by-step reopening of middle and primary classes, online course and the 5 days training for health education, a new curriculum for grade 4, grade 7 and grade 10, and conducting training courses for over 35,000 trainee teachers across the country through Myanmar Digital Education Platform. Director General Dorsi Sipyon from the Ministry of Planning, Finance and Industry and Director General Dorkan Kai Aung from the OAGU made discussions after the speech of the EU ambassador. Both sides discussed preparations for school reopening, implementation of recommendations from the Advisory Commission on Rakhine State, budget allocations to regions and states with lesser centralization, the Phase 2 of National Education Strategic Plan 2021 to 2030, and education development plans with the assistance of EU. According to data from the Ministry of Commerce, Myanmar's exports between the 1st of October and 5th of June in the 2019 to 2020 financial year shot up to $12.1 billion from $11.6 billion registered in the corresponding period of the previous fiscal. The figure reflects an increase of $503 million compared to a year ago. Of the 7 export groups, agriculture, fisheries, minerals, and other goods showed an increase in exports. Meanwhile, exports of livestock, forest products, and finished industrial goods declined. While export earnings from the CMP, cut, make and pack garment businesses are rising, the country's reliance on natural resources such as natural gas and jade is decreasing. The CMP garment sector, which contributes to 30% of Myanmar's export sector, is struggling because of the cancellation of order from the European countries and suspension of the trade by Western countries. At present, exports of rice, corns and pulses are rising and CMP garment exports drop. The Ministry of Commerce is focusing on export promotion in order to reduce the trade deficit. Officials are preparing for elephant riding tour service between Mandalay to Beijing. The new service to enjoy the scenery will be provided at the two elephant camps Wanat and Didot beside the motorway to Yeyua Dam, when these camps are allowed for reopening. Assistant Manager Utin Jomo from Myanmar Timber Enterprise said that officials are exploring the mountain routes for elephant riding tours at present, and the service is expected to be available in July. The two elephant camps are preparing for paintball shootings and mountain biking, in addition to a waterfall elephant ride. These camps are closer to Insein Township and not so far from each other. There are 22 elephant riding tour services across the country, and the respective camps are preparing for significant services in 2020 to 2021 fiscal year. That's all with the local news. Let's take a look at the first report now. Because of the outbreak of COVID-19, 11 townships in Myanmar were put under stay-at-home restriction. With the drop of local transmission, the government is easing some anti-COVID-19 measures, including lifting the stay-at-home plan of townships. At present, Insein is the only township left under stay-at-home order, after Myanmar Township is free from the restriction on the 15th of June. Dora Swezin has more.
When COVID-19 epidemic broke out in Myanmar, the government announced to put 11 townships under a stay-at-home plan where clusters of COVID-19 patients are found. Residents from 10 townships of Yangon region and one from Zakai region were restricted not to go outside except buying groceries, going to clinics, and going to work. When the local transmission rate is dropped and restrictions are being eased step by step, 9 townships have already been lifted from stay-at-home order at the end of May. On the 15th of June, it was announced that out of 2 townships and a stay-at-home plan, Myanmar Township is lifted from restriction and Insein became the only township in the whole country which is under stay-at-home order. U Yanshin, Yangon Region Local Representative from Myanmar Township, said.
We all follow the instructions released by the Ministry of Health and Sports. In Myanmar Township, there are 16 positive patients and some have already been discharged, and the remaining patients are in good condition. Since the citizens are not accustomed to living in new normal lifestyle, they are sometimes weak to follow basic health rules such as wearing masks or washing hands. So we occasionally took action against those failing to wear masks by making them pay a fine. We have to be aware that the healthcare instructions released by the Ministry of Health and Sports are still in effect, so that even though the township is no longer under a stay-at-home plan, it is important to keep following preventive measures.
Insein Township is a huge township and populated as well. It also has most of the confirmed cases in Yangon region. Besides a cluster of transmission happening within the township, it was also possible to test the positive cases among the patients coming to the fever clinics. In Insein Township, the fever clinic is still running with about 40 to 50 patients coming to the clinic. Professor Dr. Mamaji from Insein General Hospital, who is also participating in running fever clinic, said.
In
April, we received 700 patients coming to the fever clinic and 1,300 in May. In June, we received about 40 to 50 patients in a day at the fever clinic, so averagely we received 3 to 75 patients per day since the opening of the clinic. The clinic runs for 2 hours a day. To keep up the sustainability of the fever clinics, we need manpower and materials. Since the fever clinics are highly interested by the public, as well as it helps a lot in tracing the cases to contain the spread and to reduce the risks of transmission, we will keep running the fever clinics.
In Yangon, 20 fever clinics are being run with over 160 doctors, 6 nurses, and 54 volunteers. Because of economic impacts caused by COVID-19, people are struggling for living, and in Insein Township, because of restriction to go outside, the street vendors are also having difficulties for living.
Since the people are not going outside as much as before, the food vendors are facing decreased sale. Even though the vendors are allowed to sell until late night, no one is outside at night. Before the outbreak of COVID-19, I sold out all the foods around 10 p.m. But now it is not possible even if I sell until 11 p.m. I normally have about 90,000 jets income a day, and at present it is difficult just to have only 40,000 to 50,000 chats income, which is only half of normal income. I think working people also do not have well-received income, so they don't spend on outside food as much as they did before.
About for a month, only 3 local residents are tested positive, and the rest cases are from overseas returnees. Especially in Yangon region, there is no local transmission till now. Also in Mandalay region, it is free from active cases, and express buses resume running, connecting with other cities and Mandalay. In Myanmar, when people are going outside more and are weak in observing health guidelines, the experts alert to be aware of the possible second wave and to prevent the second-time spread of virus.
The elderly are vulnerable to the virus. They will suffer more severe symptoms if they are infected. So even if the stay-at-home plans will be lifted, I want to suggest the elderly persons to stay at home and not to go outside. The younger ones who are working outside also notice not to stay close to the elders at home because they can carry the virus from the outside. Moreover, it is important to stay alert to wear masks and wash hands. Even though the restrictions are eased, it will be better not to gather with friends or strangers. We have to take lessons from other countries and global infection. We have to be aware of the second wave of virus infection even after the restrictions are eased.
The total confirmed cases of COVID-19 in Myanmar reached 262 with 175 recoveries. That's all for now. This is Dora Susin from MI Radio.
That's a report on Insein Township, the only township still remaining under stay-at-home plan. All right, we'll move on to the next report. Less rainfall in the early and mid-monsoon periods will bring about negative effects on the agricultural sector. Meteorologist U Chit-jo said temperature from some regions and states reached a record high during May, and monsoon wind already set in the lower part of Myanmar in the late second week of May. Less rainfall will happen in most parts of Myanmar in the early and mid-monsoon periods, thereby resulting in a reduction in the river water floods of the major rivers of Myanmar. Minton has the details.
Less rainfall in the early and mid-monsoon periods will bring about negative effects on agriculture sector. Temperature from some regions and states reached high record during May, and monsoon wind already set in the lower part of Myanmar in the late second week of May. It was said by meteorologist U Chit-jo. Less rainfall will happen in most parts of Myanmar in the early and mid-monsoon periods, thereby resulting in a reduction in the river waterflows of the major rivers of Myanmar. Moon State, Chin State, Sakine Region, and Shan State will see much rainfall, and that leads the risk of floods and landslide. U Chit-jo, Secretary of Advisory Board of National Disaster Management Committee, said.
Early monsoon is not good, and the middle monsoon is also the same matter. Yangon and Irrawaddy will get less rainfall this year, and the early and middle monsoon periods will be poor. That I mean poor monsoon is not it won't rain, but the days of rain will become fewer. Rainfall will be less. Some places will see much rain. It is not easy for the places where there will be floods to do the farming. Such inconveniences may occur.
Moreover, monsoon paddy has not been grown by the irrigation water since the time of the ancestors, but this year the irrigated famine may occur because there is insufficient water and less rainfall. The monsoon arrival to Myanmar during 2020 is as usual without being late. Less rainfall will bring difficulties to the farmers during this year.
The monsoon arrival of this year is right and not late. If it sets in at the end of May or early June, it can be said the monsoon arrival is late. But now the monsoon set in only in the middle of May, and it is normal. The rainfall is not many. If it doesn't rain in Yangon, it is very hot. The heavy rain will be in the late monsoon. If the rain doesn't come regularly, it will be difficult for the farmers to do farming.
There isn't enough rain now. If rain is not good in the early and middle of monsoon periods, it will be much in the late monsoon. At the time, the paddy plants will be damaged, said Uday Ang, chairman of the Insein Township Farmers Development Association.
In our experience, if there is less rain in the early and the middle monsoon periods, it will be much rainfall in the late monsoon. It is sure that if there is much rainfall, it may be the risk of the paddy plantations liable to floods. If the rain is poor in the early and the middle monsoon periods, it is supposed that the responsible person, the ministry concerned, and the people need to cooperate in the preparation for the possible risk of flooding the paddy fields.
The rain is poor in the early and middle monsoon periods, and so the farmers will be likely to face difficulty in doing the farming. Such situation will be likely to go on in Myanmar for several years, and it is worrisome for Myanmar.
If we experience the problem of less rainfall every year in the next 50 or 100 years, our country would import rice from other countries as we are a rice-eating country. At that time, it is difficult for our country to grow rice because of the problem of less rainfall. For this, we will face rice problem and the rice will be imported from the other countries. We need to know such unpleasant situation from now.
Since there is a change in rainfall pattern during these years, agriculture sector is much affected. Floods occurred in rainy season. Floods occurred in 10 regions and states during 2015. According to the flood records, 12 regions and states encountered flood during 2016 with 9 deaths and 125,160 households were affected by flood. A severe flood happened during 2017. In 2018, the rising water of Danwei River flooded Kayin State for more than 2 months. Kayin State has never seen such type of flood. In 2019, meltdown landslide occurred in Lepugong village in Pang Township, Mon State, killing 73 people.
That's a report on farmers likely to encounter a difficult situation in this monsoon. And we have another report on preparation for school opening coming up. Stay tuned. As schools are set to open from the month of July, there is a huge amount of work to be done for all schools, from governmental to private schools across Myanmar, to prevent the students from being infected with the virus. It is learned that the government will take massive required measurement to prevent the spread of the virus by providing the necessary equipment in all the schools. Even for private schools, the required measurements are seriously taken for reopening. Willinson will tell us more.
Although the government has already announced the date to reopen schools from high school in Myanmar, according to the statement released by the Ministry of Education, it was also mentioned that the announcement of the opening of school date can be postponed anytime if it seems that it is risky enough to open schools. The government has already released the procedures and other guidelines that all the schools have to follow when they open. Apart from the government, that will also provide necessary tools and equipment for all the schools, from PPE to infrared thermometer, for the prevention of the virus from spreading further. Tanda, who is one of the school teachers from number 1 Basic Education High School, Insein Township, and she spoke to my radio how the school is preparing for reopening, and she said,
For now, we are asked to keep the students 6 feet apart, and we have arranged the chairs according to that standard distance. For this school, we have already completed the preparation for the opening of the school. By practicing social distancing at school, we will only be able to accommodate around 20 students in a classroom. I have to arrange a place for the teacher too, and we are working on avoiding having contact with each other as much as possible. We will skip the break time for the students, but between the class period, we will give them a short time to refresh themselves or time to have lunch conveniently. As we are instructed to make the students wash their hands for 20 seconds, we are arranging one basin for the students. Luckily, we have enough basin here in this school.
Practicing the guidelines and instructions given by the government is not only for the public schools, but also for all the schools across Myanmar. Udwe is the chairman of Private School Teachers Associations, and he spoke to MI Radio on how the private schools are preparing for the opening of the school, and he said,
By any means, we don't get the normal time to teach the students, so I'm sure we cannot finish the course on time as it is quite late already. I believe the Ministry of Education will do the best regarding this matter. We hope for the best results from the collaboration between the Ministry of Education and the Ministry of Health and Sports. The collaboration of the parents and the students are also the important part of the whole process, as we have our part to play and the government have its part to do. After all, we need to follow what the government tell us to do, but we cannot deny that there is a huge challenge for everyone, the government, the teachers, the students, and the parents. For example, if a school ferry can carry 50 students at once, we have to reduce the number down to half to avoid any gathering and practice social distancing. If we divide all the things into half, getting enough space for the class will be a big challenge for both governmental and private schools.
Uzanai from Insein Township, with 2 children who are currently schooling in primary school, also spoke to my radio and said,
Of course, we are all worried for our children to send them to school, but as parents, we cannot fail our duty as well. We are doing our best to protect our children. We teach them how to avoid the crowd, how to wash their hands, and we teach them to understand the importance of social distancing.
This is Williamson for MI Radio.
And that's a report on the preparation for reopening of schools. Beijing reported 36 confirmed new domestically transmitted COVID-19 cases and 6 new asymptomatic cases on Sunday. The new local cluster infection in the capital city is linked to Insein, the biggest wholesale farm produce market in Asia, located in southern Beijing's Fengtai district. Akajo has more.
Just when Beijingers thought they could finally take a breath, a new spike in coronavirus cases has emerged. Insein market was closed as a containment measure. Beijing's Disease Control and Prevention Center says the new coronavirus cases in the city might have originated in Europe. It says the situation is still under investigation, but a test suggests the infections could have been imported to China. Experts don't yet know if the virus was on the surface of the contaminated seafood or meat, or whether it was transmitted by people visiting the Insein wholesale market. There have been reports it was detected on a cutting board for imported salmon. Masaji Nguyen, China Media Group CI Myanmar Department explained.
ပြည်ချင်းမှာပြီးခဲ့တဲ့ရက်ပိုင်းကဒီယောဂပိုးတွေ့ရှိသူပေါ့နော်အသက်6ဦးတွေ့ရှိခဲ့တယ်။အဲ့ဒီ6ဦးကဒီပြည်ပကနေပြန်ဝင်လာတဲ့သူလည်းမဟုတ်ဘူးဒီဘီကင်းကနေပြီးတော့ ထွက်ခါတာမျိုးလည်းမရှိဘူးဟူပေနယ်သားတွေနဲ့လည်းအဆက်ဆက်မရှိဘူးဒါပေမဲ့သူတို့ကပီကင်းမှာရှိတဲ့ဒီရှင်ဖာတီဆိုတဲ့ဒီလေယာထွက်ကုန်လက်ကားဈေးကိုတော့ရောက်ဖူးတဲ့သူတွေဖြစ်တယ်ဒါကြောင့်မို့လို့ဒီဈေးကကူးဆက်တာလို့ယူဆတယ်ရှင်ဖာတီလေယာထွက်ကုန်ဒီလက်ကားဈေးကိုတော့စနေနေ့ကပိတ်လိုက်တယ်ဒီရှင်ဖာတီဈေးကပီကင်းတစ်မြို့လုံးအတွက်ပေါ့နော်ဟင်းဒီဟင်းရွက်တွေတီးနှံတွေဖြန့်ဖြူးနေတဲ့ဈေးဒီဈေးနဲ့ဆက်ဆက်တဲ့ဈေးကြီးတွေကိုလည်းအခုပိတ်ထားတယ်လို့သိရတယ်ဒီဈေးအနီးနားကဒီရက်ကွက်တွေကျောင်းတွေဘူထာယုံတွေကို lockdown တွေချထားတယ်အခုဆိုလို့ရှိရင်ပီကင်းမြို့ဒီယောဂထိန်းချုပ်ရေးစင်တာတွေကနေပြီးတော့တိုင်းတာစစ်ဆေးမှုတွေကိုတစ်မြို့လုံးမှာပြုလုပ်နေတယ်အဓိကကတော့ဒီလက်ကားဈေးတွေစူပါမားကတ်တွေကိုစစ်ဆေးနေတယ်အဲ့ဒီရှင်ဖာတီဈေးမှာအလုပ်လုပ်တဲ့သူတွေသူတို့တွေနဲ့အနီးကပ်ပေါ့နော်ထိတွေ့ဘူးတဲ့သူတွေနောက်အနီးပတ်ဝန်းကျင်ရသူတွေကိုလည်းစစ်ဆေးနေတဲ့အပြင်ကိုဒီအသားငါးတွေဒီပင်လယ်စာတွေရေထွက်ကုန်တွေကိုပေါ့နော်စစ်ဆေးနေတယ်ဒီရှင်ဖာတီဈေးတွေကဒီဆော်လမွန်ငါးရောင်းတဲ့ခုံတွေမှာယောဂပိုးတွေ့ရတယ်လို့သိရတယ်ဒါကိုသိပြီးတော့နိုင်ပိုင်းအတွင်းမှာပဲဒီစူပါမားကတ်တွေကဒီဆော်လမွန်ငါးတွေကိုဖယ်ရှားပစ်လိုက်တယ်
On June 14th, medical staffs are visiting the communities around Shinfati Wholesale Market to carry out nucleic acid tests. Spokesperson from the Beijing Health Commission said the capital's municipal authorities will conduct nucleic acid tests community by community for residents who have visited Shinfati or were in close contact with the staff at Shinfati since May 30th.
ဒီပီကင်းကလေယာထွက်ကုန်ဈေးနဲ့ဒီဈေးဝယ်စင်တာတွေမှာဆိုရင်ဒီ12ရက်နေရပေါ့နော် nucleic acid စစ်ဆေးဖို့ဆိုပြီးတော့အာကောင်တို့ဘက်တွေယူတယ်ရှဖာတီဈေးကအာကောင်တို့ဘက်ဒီနမူနာယူတဲ့သူတွေကနေပြီးတော့45ဦးယောဂပိုးတွေ့တယ်။ယောဂပိုးတွေ့တဲ့သူတွေကယောဂလက္ခဏာမပြဘဲနဲ့ကူးစက်ခံရသူတွေဖြစ်တယ်။အခုသူတို့ကိုတီးခြားစောင့်ကြည့်မှုတွေပြုလုပ်ထားတယ်။နောက်ပီကင်းဆိုရအခုဆိုလို့ရှိရင်တင်းတင်းကြပ်ပေါ့နော်။ကင်တွယ်ဆောင်ရွက်နေပါဖြစ်လို့လဲဆိုတော့ပီကင်းကလူတန်း20ကျော်နေထိုင်တဲ့အပြင်ကိုအစိုးရရုံးဆိုင်တဲ့မြို့လည်းဖြစ်တယ်။နောက်ပီကင်းမြို့သူမြို့သားတွေကလည်းစိုးရိမ်မှုတွေမြင့်တက်နေတယ်ပေါ့နော်။အခုအခြေခံပညာအငယ်တန်းကျောင်းတွေဆိုအခုယာယီပိတ်ထားတယ်။ဒီဖြစ်ပွားမှုကဒီဖြစ်ပွားမှုအသစ်တွေ့ရှိတာပေါ့နော်။ဒါပီကင်းမှာ2လကြာကာလအတွင်းမှာပထမဆုံးအကြိမ်တကြောပြန်တွေ့ရှိခြင်းဖြစ်တယ်။ဒုတိယမြောက်ပေါ့နော်ယောဂကူးစက်လိုင်းဖြစ်ပွားမှာကိုဒီပီကင်းမြို့သူမြို့သားတွေကထူးဆွေးနေကြပါတယ်ရှင်
Beijing, Tianjin, and Hebei province on Sunday began tracing residents who recently visited Beijing's Shinfadi wholesale market. Confirmed COVID-19 cases have exceeded 7.8 million globally, with over 430,000 fatalities and more than 3.7 million recoveries. That is according to the latest tally from Johns Hopkins University. The Chinese mainland has recorded 83,181 COVID-19 cases so far, of which 1,837 are inbound cases. A total of 112 asymptomatic patients are under medical observation. China's death toll stands at 4,645. This is Agajo reporting for Myanmar International Radio.
And that's all we have today's reports. And here are the international news on Myanmar Today. The Atlanta Police Department released on Sunday new videos of the Rayshard Brooks shooting on June 12th. The police body cam and security camera videos show the interactions between two white officers and 27-year-old Rayshard Brooks, who was unarmed. Police say they were called to Wendy's fast food restaurant. They say employees complained that Brooks was asleep in a car that blocked the restaurant's drive-through lane. According to the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, the officers attempted to take him into custody after they say he failed a field sobriety test. Brooks admitted to the officers that he had been drinking and offered to walk home or over to his sister's house nearby. The videos showed Brooks resisting arrest. All three wrestled to the ground. The first officer at the scene, Davin Brosnan, drew his taser. Brooks grabbed it. Brooks managed to stand up. He punched, rove, and started running. The incident comes nearly 3 weeks after the death of George Floyd at the hands of Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin. The family of Rayshard Brooks called for justice in emotional press conference on Monday. Their attorney, Al Chris Stewart, called Brooks' death a rerun of George Floyd.
I think you've had too much to drink to be driving. Put your hands behind your back for me. Here, put your hands behind your back. All right, 63. So you had about 1.5 drinks, but you don't remember what kind of drinks they were?
No, sir.
All right.
I really don't, Mr. Law.
All right, I think you've had too much to drink to be driving. Put your hands behind your back for me. Here, put your hands behind your back. Hey, stop fighting! Stop fighting! Stop fighting! Stop fighting! You're gonna get tased! You're gonna get tased!
Stop, Mr. Raw. Stop. Come on, man.
Stop! You're gonna get tased!
Mr. Raw.
Hey, hands off the taser! Hands off the taser! Stop fighting! Hands off the taser! Stop fighting! 63.
According to the Chinese Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Chinese President Xi Jinping will host a summit on the joint efforts of China and African countries to fight against COVID-19 on Wednesday. According to the ministry, the summit will be held via video conference. Xi will deliver a speech at the summit. China has delayed the launch of the final satellite of its Beidou Navigation Satellite System 3, which was scheduled on Tuesday. The postponement was announced after a technical problem with the product was found during a test ahead of the launch. Israel retaliated by air and tank fire Monday against Hamas positions after a rocket was fired into Israel from the Gaza Strip, the army said. The tensions came after Gaza rulers Hamas called for unity among Palestinians and resistance against Israeli plans to annex parts of the occupied West Bank. The Israeli army said that a rocket had been fired from the Hamas-ruled Gaza Strip into Israel, the first such act in more than a month. Palestinian security sources confirmed that Hamas targets had been hit. Earlier on Monday, senior Hamas official Salah al-Badawil told a news conference, quote, "We call for the annexation project to be confronted with resistance in all forms." In other news, surging coronavirus infections are showing cracks in India's healthcare system. It's also heightened anxiety for the city's residents, especially with 1,000 new cases being reported each day. Mortuary and crematoriums say they can't keep up with the backlog of victims. Some claim that hospitals ask for exorbitant fees for COVID-19 patients. Reports say some are charging more than $5,000 per bed for coronavirus victims. People are now questioning the government's decision to ease the lockdown.
इतनी बुरी टेंशन हमारे माइंड में है, इतने गलत टाइम पे इन्होंने लॉकडाउन खोल दिया। जब केसेस कम थे तो इन्होंने लॉकडाउन लगा दिया, जब इतने केसेस बढ़ गए हैं तो इन्होंने सब कुछ खोल दिया। किसके लिए? हमें मारने के लिए।
Well, that's all we have for now. Thanks for joining me on Myanmar Today. I'm Henry Zin. Have a great day, everyone, and I'll see you again. Goodbye.